Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of Ice Wolves Insider.
And it's Liam Brennan, the hat-trick goal, wins the Credit Union Cup for the LaGrange.
Well, on tonight's
Ice
program,
Wolves.
we'll be talking about the first two games of the series between the Melfort Mustangs and the LaGrange Ice Wolves. We'll be chatting with Ice Wolves head coach Bob Beatty, as well as Ice Wolves players Adam Bartko and Phil Belanger. And then later on in our usual From the Stands fan segment, we'll be talking with Daniel Fink, Terry Helary, and Sean Hallett. Should be a great show. We'll see you right back. Welcome back to Ice Wolves Insider. At this time, we are chatting with Ice Wolves head coach Bob Beatty. Bob, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right. So your first two games with the Melfort Mustangs in this conference final, you end up with the split. Let's talk about, first off, game one. Obviously, things didn't end the way you wanted to. Just maybe give us your take on how that game went from the Ice Wolves' perspective.
Well, I thought we got off to a good start. Our first couple shifts, were definitely what we wanted. We had good pressure, on their end, and I thought we played a real solid first period. For whatever reason, we got off the game plan a little bit in the second period and in the third, to be quite frank. Played a little bit desperate hockey to catch up and tie, but I certainly didn't think we played a full 60 minutes, and the goal, came in the first 2.5 minutes in overtime. Obviously a breakdown, and not the result we wanted, but we were able to bounce back in game two. I thought we may have played a more complete game. I thought certainly gave up more quality scoring chances than we would have liked, but I thought Adam's game was good. He played solid, and I thought the two games against Melfort were more like we were accustomed to seeing him play in the playoffs last season, which is a good sign.
All right. Getting back to game one, it seemed you guys had a great first period, but only up 1-0. Did you feel that your team deserved more after one period of play in that game? Well,
we did have some opportunities that we weren't able to execute on. That's going to happen, in the playoffs. And, we would have liked to have had more of a lead, certainly. We would have liked to have had the win in game one, but, it is what it is, and we just have to prepare now for game three.
Mm-hmm. From a fan's perspective, getting back to game one, really seemed that one of the turning points was that shorthanded goal against. Did you get the sense that it wasn't quite the same team, same Ice Wolves team after that shorthanded goal that you gave up to the Mustangs there?
I thought right from the outset in the second period we didn't get puck placement where we wanted it, and we turned a lot of pucks over. Obviously it was a costly turnover that, it was something for Melfort had 14 shorthanded goals. It's something that we addressed, before game one, but, it was really a clearing attempt to the point that failed, and our defensemen, didn't have a lot of time to do anything with the puck. The puck was bouncing, and, they got a break and they capitalized on it. I don't think we were a different team after. We just have to stay focused and have some consistency to our game, with and without the puck.
Did the Mustangs come as advertised in terms of what you guys were preparing for? Did you basically see that sort of game in really both games from the Mustangs there?
I think for the most part, yes. They had close to a full lineup in the last game against Humboldt, and there wasn't any real surprises. They did obviously get a number of breakaways that we weren't hoping for. Mm-hmm. Obviously, some breakdowns there, and they caught us by surprise on a couple of stretch plays. But you know, it's something that, you know, that they do execute well, and you know, we're just going to have to be more alert.
Now, the great bounce back effort in Game 2, not only did you win, but you won at least by the scoreboard quite convincingly, 4-0. You've kind of touched on it already, but you know, what were the keys for you in terms of that victory coming through with a solid Game 2 there?
Well, I think our puck placement, and you know, we did capitalize on some opportunities. We did get 4 pucks by Charles Corsi, and you know, we just need to be more determined and get more pucks to the net. And you know, it's a harder rink to do that in Melfort. It's harder to make contact, and you know, when we're finishing our checks and playing a physical game and dictating the play, you know, we certainly win a lot more games than we lose. It's a little bit more difficult to execute in Melfort, but we're just going to have to be smarter with our puck placement and finish checks on every opportunity that we have a chance to.
Yeah. We'll get to Game 3 in a second there. Getting back to Game 2, obviously Adam Bartko, the shutout effort, I imagine it goes without saying that he was a huge reason why you came up with the victory there in Game 2.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I mentioned before, you know, his play is, you know, in the first game as well, I thought you know, he played one of his better games in the playoffs, and you know, he gave us a chance to win. We just came up a goal short.
Yeah. Game 3 and Game 4 in Melfort. You and I were talking before we went to air here that you know, a lot of other teams, if they had the first 2 games on home ice, maybe wouldn't be in love with the fact that they came away with just the split. You guys are in a different situation. You were 23-6 on the road this season. You guys were exceedingly comfortable on the road. I think you were 2-1 in Melfort this season. Just talk about, I guess, is that something that's giving you guys a lot of confidence going into the Mustangs barn there?
Well, we have played well on the road. We have played well on bigger ice surfaces. I think our team is, you know, is built for a bigger ice surface, to be quite honest. And you know, we're confident. We know we have, you know, a big task ahead of us. You know, we have to certainly try and win Game 3. It's a pivotal game, and you know, if we can do that, then we look towards getting a sweep. But you know, we certainly need to regain home ice advantage at the very minimum.
Yeah. Now, throughout the series, really, I think both teams have been having players kind of shuffled in and out of the lineup. We had, or you had, Justin Ducharme and Doug Lindensmith available for Game 1. Weren't available for Game 2, but you got Phil Cleach back. I understand perhaps Michael Verrett might be available the next game as well. Maybe he could be as vague as you want, but just maybe give us a sense of as to when perhaps we might see some of these other players back in the lineup and some of the other guys that have been on the shelf, guys like Taylor Pillen and so forth.
Well, Taylor skated today, and you know, he actually looked pretty good. I don't think he's far off returning. Doug is a day-to-day situation. He got a concussion in the Flin Flon series, and missed the final 2 games of that series, and he was symptom-free, but it's a day-to-day situation with him. Justin took a shot off the ankle and had to take Saturday night off, but he'll be back in the lineup for Game 3. You're correct. Michael Verret's team that he was carded with, his season's over, so he had used up his 10 games as an affiliate player, and now he'll be available full-time.
Yeah, that's got to be huge for you, because he seems to be a pretty solid defenseman for you here down the stretch.
Yeah, he's definitely you know, a solid defenseman that we can bank on, and certainly expect him to be in the lineup every night.
All right. Well, Bob, thanks very much for being available tonight, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot, Kelly.
All right. Just joining us, this is Ice Wolves Insider, and we've been talking with Ice Wolves head coach Bob Beatty. We'll be back with Ice Wolves players Adam Bartko and Phil Cleach.
your tap water comes from?
It can come from groundwater or surface water, which often begins as snowfall that accumulates in the winter and melts into our rivers and lakes. Cities will treat it to get rid of most of the impurities and then send it into our homes. The problem is, the quality of the water is being damaged by our activities, and as our earth warms up, there may be less water available in the future. For more information on how you can be more water aware, visit waterunderfire.ca.
Welcome back to Ice Wolves Insider. We're joined now by Ice Wolves players Phil Belanger and Adam Bartko. Guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So, yeah, let's talk about the weekend that was. Obviously, you came away with a split here with the Mustangs on home ice. After giving up that first game to the Mustangs, obviously a huge game too, you guys came through with a 4-0 victory. Maybe just talk about how huge that win was, getting that Game 2 victory. I'll start with you there, Adam.
Yeah, and that Game 2 was really good. You know, we knew it was almost a must game to split at home. You know, you never ever want to go down 2-0 going back to your opponent's barn. But yeah, I thought we played well, and it was really good to get that win.
Yeah. Phil, what do you think was the difference in terms of the different outcomes between Game 1 and Game 2? What did you guys seem to do differently or better in Game 2?
I think we every period we played really hard. If we compare to the first game, like we weren't playing hard every period. Like second period, first game we just I don't know what happened, but we just stopped playing. So it's probably why, like, changed the game and everything. And on Saturday we really stayed focused and just do what we have to do and just win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously just heard the coach talking about how it's a little bit different in game 1 in the second period compared to how you guys came out kind of guns a-blazing in the first period. Adam, obviously you see this all unfolding in front of you. Just maybe kind of explain, just your thoughts on perhaps what happened there, why it was perhaps, a tougher go of things in the second and third periods for you guys in the first game.
Yeah, for sure. We came out hard in the first period. I think a little excitement, North Final, and, the guys are really excited to play. And then, we kind of got a little bit more confidence. In the second period, we came out and maybe you could say a little too much confidence, and we were trying to make a little bit too much pretty plays or going through guys or just not keeping it simple and not getting pucks deep. But yeah, I think a little bit of just coming prepared, just knowing that we can't do that kind of those things. We just got to keep it simple and get pucks deep and just play an Ice Wolf hockey game.
Yeah. So saying that though, do you guys find that you have to, when you play this opponent, because there's not too many teams that play quite the way that the Mustangs do. They really lay back, sit back, and wait for opportunities, try to capitalize on mistakes. Do you guys find that you have to change your game much in terms of being ready for them? I'll start with you there, Phil.
Not really. We just do the same thing we're doing, like try to aware of the turnover and stuff and just dump the puck and hit hard on their D-men, and because they have huge D-men but they're not really quick and fast, and we're just trying to do what we normally do, dump and chase and really go hard.
Yeah. Bob was talking about the stretch pass. They seem to really like the stretch pass, and at times it worked for them over the weekend. Do you, as a defenseman, do you find that when you play the Mustangs, that you have to be a little bit more aware of who's on the ice and where they might be, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of time they try on the face of the switch with the forward and go to bench, then switch from the top and cut to the blue line too. And they did it a couple of times on Friday, and it works pretty good for them. So Saturday we were a lot more aware of those passes.
Yeah. Had to be a heartbreaker in game 1. You guys mount the serious comeback late in the third, only to give up the game winner in overtime. Just maybe talk about going through that and then not having a whole lot of time to get up for a really important game 2. I'll start with you there, Adam.
Yeah, no, for sure. We came back hard. We showed them that we weren't giving up, and got a couple goals, quick goals at the end there. That was good to push it to overtime. And yeah, like overtime, it's one shot and it's over. You never know what can happen. And we just had a little mental lapse, and they capitalized on their chance. So it was a tough. Yeah, and it'll be we knew right away that we had a short turnaround, short memory, and we had to come out hard in the game 2, and we knew that it was going to be like the next night, so we had to really be thinking as much positives as we could so that we could stay focused for the second game.
Yeah, and I guess in thinking positive, I guess you guys could take a look at game 1 and say, hey, you know what? It wasn't maybe perhaps our most complete effort or our best effort, but we just about pulled this thing off. Was that kind of the mentality going into game 2? Is that what you guys were thinking there, Phil?
I don't know, we weren't really, I don't know, I'll say like, I don't know, it's tough to say, like we were kind of pissed after the game because we had that mental lapse, and like we were, I don't know, we should have had that game like if we would have been really ready, but it's something that happened, like you really have to be ready all the time. This is playoffs, so I don't know.
Yeah. Adam, obviously you had a great effort, well, as Bob was saying, both games, but you got the shutout in game 2. Maybe just talk about, that must have felt good to be able to, you know, blank a team. Everybody's talking about the other goalie they're in. Not that it's a battle between Adam Bartko and Charles Corsi, but, you know, some scribes like to make it that way. It must have felt good, though, to get the...
Yeah, for sure. You know, any shutout's good to get, but in playoffs it's a little bit more special, and I just thought, yeah, it was just being ready for them, and you know, I know that they have a lot of good players. You know, they're rolling 3 lines that can score goals, and just making sure I'm ready all the time and focused, and you know, anything can happen, kind of thing, and this is a great feeling.
Yeah. Aside from like the personal accomplishment, was there kind of a feeling on the bench that, hey, we really need to make, not just get the W, it's not good enough. We need to have like almost like a statement game where they can't even score on us. You know, was that kind of the mentality in that game?
We knew, like, going into this game, we knew we had to really show them what we're about, and that we're just going to be a one goal, and you know, we're going to come out hard and really take it to them, and we did. We came out hard, and we played well, and really showed them that we're here to play. Yeah.
So you guys were lights out in the regular season on the road. You know, 23-6. You guys had a fair amount of success in Melfort as well, 2-1. Is that giving you guys confidence going into games 3 and 4 here in Melfort? Start with you there, Phil.
Oh, for sure. Like it's always good to have wins on the road, and like Bob said, I think we have a better team to when we're playing on a bigger ice surface. So and Melfort has a really huge rink, so I think it's going to be good for us. We have a lot of guys who has a lot of speed, and I think this is going to help us.
Yeah, Adam, you get the final word. The feeling's still pretty good in the room. You know, even though you guys gave up the split going into game 3 there in Melfort.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. You know, there's 3 more games we got to still win, so we're still trying to keep level-headed and move on, and hopefully, you know, we can come out strong in Melfort. And you never know. It's playoffs now, so you never know what can happen.
Yeah. Okay, well, gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Well, if you're just joining us, this is Ice Wolves Insider, and we've been chatting with Ice Wolves players Phil Belanger and Adam Bartko. We'll be right back with Thumb Stands.
Hi, my name's Rebecca. My dad's always on me about being safe. So why is he hurt?
An injury occurs away from work every 5 minutes in Saskatchewan. Over 158,000 residents of Saskatchewan are injured each year. Unintentional injuries hurt more than just you. Learn more at www.safesask.com.
Welcome back to Ice Wolves Insider. It's now time for our usual From the Stand segment. And on this evening's show, we'll be talking with Terry Helary, Daniel Fink, and Sean Hallett. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Kelly.
All right. So let's talk about the weekend action between the Mustangs and the Ice Wolves. Obviously, the Ice Wolves dropped the first one, win the second one 4-0. Tough setback there in game 1 in overtime after they mounted that late comeback. Maybe I'll start with you there, Sean, in terms of what you thought was maybe the big difference between games 1 and 2 and why we had the different outcome for the Wolves there.
Well, I think in the first game with the overtime loss, they fell asleep in the second period. They weren't moving their feet, you know, and it could have got really out of hand if Adam wouldn't have played lights out good, you know. The second game where we won, and we played 60 minutes. You know, they played extremely well. And again, Adam made some great saves when he had to, and then the guys just fed off it, you know, and then just the way we went, you know.
Daniel?
Yeah, the first game wasn't exactly a shining example of Ice Wolves hockey, and I don't think the coaching staff was all too happy. But I don't think the guys were too happy about it, and it really showed why this team doesn't lose 2 games in a row. It only happened twice during the regular season. It hasn't happened in the playoffs yet. Is because they rebound from those, they learn from their mistakes, and they know how to come back out after that. And they were supremely more focused, and Bartko played fantastic again.
Yeah. Terry?
Well, you know, I actually thought that first game, that in the first period, you know, our boys came out really strong and really carried momentum. And I thought really the game changer was that shorthanded goal that we gave up, and it seems like we lost our legs there. You know, and then we actually, you know, probably weren't playing our best. There was some mistakes made in our own end that cost us goals. And I agree with Daniel. I think that, you know, the boys learned from it and realized that they've got to play a full 60-minute game and come out in game 2 and played really well. And, of course, they scored 4-0. And, you know, Bartko played great both games, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think the Ice Wolves obviously knew that, very familiar with the Mustangs style of play coming into the series, knew that they capitalized on mistakes. And as it turned out, those 4 goals in the first game all were as a result of, I guess, miscues on the ice. Do you think that's kind of what happened there with that? You mentioned the shorthanded goal, because the team did seem to really sag after that for like quite a long time. Do you think that was part of it? Is like they were thinking, you know, we were talking about this, and this is exactly what we didn't want to have happen. The Mustangs score a shorthanded goal. Do you think that was kind of what happened there, Terry?
You know, I do. I think it, you know, goals like that are game changers. You know, like I think the game really evolves around momentum. You know, and at that time, Milford really didn't have a lot of momentum going for them. We had them hemmed up in their end pretty good, and you know, lo and behold, they you know, get a breakaway from their own blue line and score a goal, and kind of demoralizes you a little bit.
Yeah. Guys, have anything to add on that at all?
I don't remember the exact stat, but I was watching a game probably a couple of years ago on TV, and they threw up the stat from that season about how many games when a shorthanded goal had been scored, what the percentage of the team scoring the shorthanded goal was winning, and it was ridiculously lopsided. It was like something like 60 to 75% of the time that a team scored a shorthanded goal, they won that game, just because it is such a demoralizing thing to have happen. And the Mustangs, they scored more shorthanded goals this season than anybody. 2 more than anybody, in fact. So they're a deadly team when they get those opportunities. And with the forecheck they had in game 1, they were going to get those opportunities because they were aggressive. They were all over the Ice Wolves, and the defense just didn't know what to do. Now, the Ice Wolves, I don't know if they made some adjustments in game 2 to counteract that, or if they just settled down because they seemed to neutralize that forecheck. And I also don't think the Mustangs were coming at them as hard either.
Yeah, the stretch pass, we really saw that in especially really work for the Mustangs in the first game. I think there was 3 or 4 breakaway chances. It didn't really seem to be as much of an issue in game 2. So do you think this is something like a case where the Ice Wolves, you know, basically, you know, studied the game 1 and basically, you know, took care of some of the areas that were, I guess, problem areas for game 2? I'll start with you there, Sean.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, they just by simply moving your feet and getting in their face, I thought Aaron played phenomenal. Long reach, great speed on them all the time. Just about a couple steals, you know, when on only penalties, but even on just his regular shift, he was all over me. He's playing smart, and you know, and I think the team feeds off that. Plus, that long stretch pass rate, there was very, very few of them. Yeah, very few for sure. And I think that's hemming them up in their end. Because let's be honest, their defense is very slow. They're big, but they are slow.
How critical do you think it was for them to get that game 2 victory? You know, that this is a team that's done so well on the road. Like, this is a team where you think that even if they went down 2-0, perhaps, do you think there'd be a chance that the Ice Wolves could be a team that could come back from 2-0, or was this, you think, an absolute must game for the Ice Wolves to win game 2? I'll start with you there, Dan.
Even as confident as we are with the Ice Wolves road record, I think that was a must win, especially in the fashion they did it. It was an absolute statement win. They pretty much dominated the game, and on the adjustments that they made, they started dropping back when defensemen where they might pinch, and that
maybe more cautious style of play, while it hasn't really been what they've done throughout the season, it definitely helps stabilize through the neutral zone. And yeah, that was a must-win game, because now you can go into the Palace and you just do what they did. You win one game, and then you've got a home ice advantage in a 3-game series. We're down to a 5-game series now. Mustangs have home ice advantage. Now the Ice Wolves just need to play it like a 5-game series.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to add to that at all? Or?
Yeah, bigger ice service in Melfort too. If we use our speed, I think we, I'm not trying to put any pressure. Take one game, one shift at a time, one game at a time. But I think because of the bigger ice surface, we can really use our speed.
Yeah.
And those defense, I think our forwards understand. It's not necessarily knocking them down, but being in their face and forcing them. And I think that'll make a big difference. And of course, Adam's got to play good again, or as good as Corsi. And I think the boys found out too that he's not bulletproof. They can score on him, like they can. They played really well.
Yeah. Game 2, a couple of incidents there that were fairly noteworthy. First off, one of the Mustangs players, I think his name is Adam Wehack, is that correct? Kind of a scary injury where he was knocked out, and on a play that a lot of people did not see, a lot of fans, a lot of people on the ice did not see. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw what happened. It appeared to be a hit from Brett Hope, I believe is his name, the AP for the Ice Wolves there. Big defender, and thankfully it looked like Wehack was okay, obviously on the ice for a few minutes. Did you guys see what happened? Anybody see at all what happened in that play?
I didn't see what happened, but I did talk to Nathan Boyer after, who said, strangely enough, that that's all he was watching on the ice. I don't know if Bob would like to hear that, but he was watching that, and he said that Hope just gave him a really good shove when he let that pass go, and then Wehack just spun around and hit into the boards. So I don't know how that all unfolded after the shove, but he must have just spun back and cracked his head. And yeah, I was talking to the EMTs after, and he was really foggy. And like you said, he was out, but it sounded like he was going to be okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were watching Nolan's shoe shot, and unfortunately he got a penalty on the play. And see the arm go up, people wondering, is that the hit or what's going on? And referees, linesman did not call a thing on that. Terry, did you say that you had seen play as well?
I kind of caught the tail end of it, Kelly, and to me it really looked like Wehack lost his balance.
Okay.
Like I think Hope did give him a shove, but it was, nothing major, not a big hit. I think just when he turned, he lost his balance and fell into the boards.
Yeah. So hopefully he's doing better.
Absolutely.
Someone was saying that he perhaps has a concussion history, and hopefully it's not too serious. The other thing that got a lot of people's attention was this very strange play. I believe it was towards the end of the second period where the Ice Wolves got a penalty, but just before that the Mustangs went offside, and it looked like it was a play that occurred after an obstruction foul that occurred after the play was blown dead on the offside. Referee stuck to his guns, still called the penalty. I don't think I've ever seen a play like that in all my years of watching hockey. Have you guys seen anything like that before? I start with you there, Daniel.
I definitely haven't seen it in any of the games that I've watched this season, last season, or after that. I mean, theoretically, you can't have an obstruction play happen after the play is already finished.
Right.
It seemed a little weird to me that, now I'm not a referee or linesman, so I don't know how that kind of discussion would go, but the linesman seemed to indicate, I called that offside, and the referee just waved him down. The linesman just said nothing. So it would seem to me like it would be a time for the linesman to say, look, I called that offside. It can't be a penalty, but then again, I don't know how that's supposed to work. So.
Yeah. You guys take on that play?
Yeah, I missed it. I was working security, so I like to be able to comment, but I never seen it. Yeah.
Terry?
Well, I did find it strange, Usually, like Daniel said, after, when the play is dead on an offsides call, an obstruction call just doesn't happen. But, this official called it, and it's the same old thing. Once a ref makes up his mind, doesn't matter how much you argue, he's not going to change it.
And the crazy thing is, normally after a play like that, after the referee's had a chance to kind of perhaps second guess himself, any opportunity to do the whole even up call he'll take. And it seemed that they were making almost a statement that we're not going to do an even up call at all, even if there is actually legitimate penalties taking place on the ice. Again, this is just my biased point of view, but there seemed to be a lot of plays that were then not called after that. And the ironic thing, do you guys find it ironic that the Wolves win convincingly the game where they seem to get not the greatest officiating in terms of in their favor, but they lose the game where everybody seems to think it was a fairly solidly ref game in game one? You guys find that ironic?
Maybe a little, but really because they killed off the penalty that obviously the guys on the bench viewed as a slight against them, or not really a slight against them, but just they were getting the short end of the stick on it. That builds solidarity. It says, okay, guys, we killed this off, or we're about to kill this off, because they came back out of the dressing room with a couple seconds left on it. We got through this, and it just builds from there. It builds momentum. When you get that us against them, us against the world mentality, it can do wonders for a team.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's all we're going to talk about tonight. Thanks so much, guys, for being on the program. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right.
Thanks, Kelly.
If you're just joining us, this is Ice Wolves Insider. This has been From the Stands. We'll be right back to wrap things up. Well, that just about does it for this evening's edition of Ice Wolves Insider. I want to thank our special guests this evening. That would be Ice Wolves head coach Bob Beatty, as well as Ice Wolves players Phil Belanger and Adam Bartko, and of course our fans in From the Stands, Daniel Fink, Terry Helary, and Sean Hallett. Well, it's been a great show. We'll see you next week.